Good morning and welcome to the largest YCS in Europe again. We just beat Utrecht's attendance because we have so many players in attendance. We couldn't fit them all here in the fair in Düsseldorf. We just rented another location, shipped roughly 500 players over there. We're gonna have a second YCS Düsseldorf. This is our main event. This is YCS Düsseldorf 1. Over there in the Hilton, we got YCS Düsseldorf number 2. That's the reason why we're a little bit behind in terms of our schedule and everything. But I can promise you guys it's going to be an amazing show again this weekend. We got such a large event with so many of Europe's finest. Speaking of Europe's finest, we got two of them. You've seen them in the top card before, two very accomplished players. Let's not waste any more time. Let's kick things off with our round one feature match. In the red corner, we got Wagner from Germany. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing today?
Fine, it's all good.
It's all good.
Yes.
How was your travel here? How did you get here?
By car, like 5 hours or so.
Where do we know you from? I remember your face. You were in the top card at some point, right?
Yes, the second YCS Prague in 2017.
This is going to be complicated if somebody is topping YCS Düsseldorf. They also have to say 1 or 2 because we're running 2 this weekend. So how did you prepare for this event?
Not at all.
No. Okay, not at all. And what's your feeling? What do you think your expectation is going to be like?
I like, okay, can be better, but also worse.
Could be worse. All right. So you're now playing against Jonas Koschel, one of the guys who's like in the race of points leader for Europe. How are you feeling about playing against him here in the feature match area?
Just a normal guy, so we play like against everybody else.
Okay. Please have a seat. And speaking of his opponent, in the blue corner we got Jonas Koschel. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm a little bit tired.
Little bit tired. Okay. How are you feeling heading into this tournament?
It's gonna be weird because of the 2 different YCSs, and it's huge. And maybe I get a spot and I get my chance.
When did you register? Did you register yesterday already?
No, I registered today, but I went here at 8 o'clock when the venue opened, and I just went to the registration, and I waited till they said 300 people left, and I just registered. So yeah.
It was pretty crazy this morning. All right. So how did you prepare for this event?
I played a lot, but like more than usual, because there are so many new decks. But I think having the round 1 feature match is the hardest because.
Okay. Well, very sorry for that. But our viewers are going to appreciate it, of course. How are you feeling about your chances of scoring a seat in the top 8 tournament that is going to almost straight take you to World Championships?
I think I can make it, but it depends on how good I'm doing at this event and at my nationals, and yeah, maybe I get a spot.
All right. So best of luck to you too. Please have a seat as well. So let's please guys come in. We need to perform the die roll to see who's gonna go first. That's a 2 for Friede. That's a 6 for Jonas. Who wants to go first?
I'd like to go first.
Okay, big surprise here. Jonas wants to go first. With that, guys, the stage has been set. Our players are ready. Let's take you to a commentary table. We got Marcello Barberi and Daniel Neville. Take it away, guys.
Welcome to the first feature match of the largest European YCS ever. We are here. We have 2 fantastic players, and I am really excited for this. What's your feelings going into the largest event, Marcelo?
Same. First of all, I'm really excited to be back at this commentary table and with you. Greetings. It's good to have you here. And yeah, it seems like it's an incredible event. I would have never thought of this. We talked yesterday about how Düsseldorf is very easy to reach. They have an international airport, but we could never expect something like this. And we're starting with the blast. So as Oliver said, they're both accomplished players. We know that they both had a pretty good season last year. They both reached 2nd place at some national championship. And Jonas in particular is one of the few players grinding for points and traveling all over Europe, and not even just Europe. He topped 2 YCS in the USA, the latest in Chicago. So it's gonna be good.
Exactly, and Chicago is actually a really big deal because we had Milan, and that was our last European YCS. Yep. But leading into this event, we have a brand new Forbidden Unlimited list, and that wasn't the case for Milan. So do you think we're going to see something more like Chicago for this event, or do you think there's something that's going to shake up the format today?
I mean, there are quite a few changes. So the main one from Chicago is, of course, the new Soulburn structure deck, and that's gonna impact a lot. I know a lot of players are actually using it, and it's definitely gonna change. I don't expect Jonas to be that unprepared, because we saw, for example, in Chicago, he proved that he could actually shape up the format really quickly. So it seems like he's one of those players that are really good, but still wasn't, I don't know, maybe that little bit of luck was missing for his actual breakout performance. He got second place twice, and he never won, so maybe today can be his lucky day.
You think today could be his day?
It's possible.
I'm really liking the deck that Wagner is playing here. It is something that I have not seen before at an event. We are good to discuss.
Yep.
He is playing ABC Danger.
Yep.
Now, this is pretty exciting. He's playing the one-of Brilliant Fusion, which recently was limited.
Yeah, that's surprising, definitely.
It's pretty spicy. Like, this is an exciting kind of high-power deck. If he draws well, this deck's going to do everything.
Exactly.
And
but we saw the die roll, we saw that Jonas won it, and he has also a lot of hand-chops. We're going to talk about it deeply, of course, later on. And it seems like it's going to be quite an interesting match. So let's just...
How do you think that Danger decks perform against these more control-oriented decks? Because Salamangreat have counter traps, which we haven't seen in previous formats.
The thing is, the Danger cards, as we saw in the past months, are really good at cycling, because you draw a lot of cards. But at the same time, you don't have to forget that they're actually pretty big monsters. So Bigfoot is like 28, and Nessie is also pretty huge. So even if worst case scenario you don't go into huge combos, if you play against a deck like Salamangreat, where their monsters are pretty small, it might actually be a big deal to get rid of them, because you don't have a lot of disruptions, so it's actually doable, and it gets really interesting after siding as well, because they have a lot of options. As I said, they can draw through their entire deck, so it's going to be interesting. And I never saw an approach with like a 60-card ABC with all these, even Predator lands, which, it's exciting. I definitely want to see how it works.
It reminds me a lot of the Dark Warrior lists that we'd been seeing before the Forbidden Unlimited list, whereas this, instead of ending on Rongo, you're going to end up with ABC Dragonbuster, which is a pretty good card. Like 3,000 attack, can protect itself, and also has interaction.
Definitely, we saw some success of it, YCS Chicago itself, where it reached top 8 with like Calvin Town, which is like he always plays ABC like ever since it came out, essentially. And he was more of a standard deck list with like Sky Strikers, and as you said, this deck has the potential to actually go off and summon like a huge amount of threats. And something worth mentioning though is that even though he's not maining any hand-chops, he has a lot of cards for going second. I can see he has like Twin Twisters, the Dino Wrestlers, so it's not like losing the Dino is that much of a big deal.
Yeah, exactly, and it looks like he has a lot of pressure available, so that he can really punish his opponent, even if he's going second.
Exactly. And one of the coolest thing is the Mare package. I am in love with that card, and when you play 60 cards, you're basically able to abuse it. So
I think we're ready to pass over to the game now.
Yeah, let's see how it goes.
Let's see how it goes.
Okay.
Okay, so Jonas is starting here. What sort of hand is he wanting to see to get this game going?
So essentially with Salamangreat, any combination of 2 cards can lead to the same field, which is the counter trap, Salamangreat Roar, which is a negation, and a few monsters. So you want to see Lady Debug, the Gazelle, which are like the key cards of the deck. He's actually playing a really standard deck list. Nothing stands out. He's playing 12 Antrops in the main deck. If you consider the new Fantastical Dragon and Antrop, I kind of do.
It is.
Let's see.
So I think it's really interesting with Salamangreats, because we're seeing this format. We have the difference between the hand trap decks and the floodgate decks. And like, so clearly Jonas is on the hand trap plan. And I think that's where I would be for this event.
And he's going to be happy about it when he sees that his opponent is a 60-card deck, because hand traps are really good against those. So he opens a really good end with both Spinny and Gazelle. So considering that he has drawn naturally into the Salamangreat Rage, he will be able to search both and end the field with Rage and Roar, which is a pretty big deal. So he does send the missing piece, and
yeah, he's going to try and end with as much interaction as he can here, right?
yeah, essentially, I mean, when you don't know the matchup, something that you were actually noticing is that he's playing Abyss Dweller in his extra deck, which could be a huge deal in this matchup. And honestly, usually 60-card decks are always, like, ever since Grass was a card, you know? They've been focusing on the graveyard. Now Grass is no longer there, but it's still...
What's your feeling going in blind? If you're the Salamangreat player, what do you think you're playing against? Like,
that's what I'm saying. I mean, if it's 60, it's usually a combo deck. Like, the only other deck could be Pendulum, maybe. But honestly, even against Pendulum, like, it wouldn't be a bad idea. Because he's not playing Baguska, so it's not like he can go into it.
Sure.
That would have been probably even safer against any 60-card deck.
Baguska is actually starting to be relevant again in format. Because in Spirals, it was a really relevant card, and it just kind of fell off the face of the earth.
Definitely.
But I could definitely see it seeing more play in the near future.
So yeah, it's just going into the normal combo.
So the cool thing with Salamangreat Field Spell is it means that he's able to link summon using monsters with the same name as the full link material, and that will get him the effect of his Sunlight Wolfear.
Exactly.
Which is a really nice combo. So he's adding back his counter trap.
And he's going for the Abyss Dweller, so very nice pickup from him. As I said, when it's 60 card, it usually somehow involves the graveyard. So
yeah, I
makes
think
sense.
I think this seems like a very reasonable line for him to take. Do you think this will be enough against the opponent's hand?
It looks like it's a pretty good opening because he has both the Roar, which is essentially a negation for every card, and the Rage, which at this moment is able to destroy 2 cards on Wagner field. So
yeah, standby phase of Abyss Dweller.
It's honestly as good as it gets for an opening.
Yeah. So we see Jizukiru drawn, which means he can clear the Link monster.
And that's going to be a huge deal, actually, because it shuts down all the trap cards.
Shuts down the trap cards and lets that Armageddon Knight be summoned without any contestation.
Now that draw is actually super relevant. It changes things a lot. But we can see that he's actually maining multiple Kaijus, so...
Yes. I believe he is playing 4 Kaijus. That's still a very lucky draw. 4 out of 60 cards.
It is, but honestly, like, the Abyss Dweller is still so good. Unfortunately, the Mothman gets sniped, so...
Yeah, that is very sad when there is an Abyss Dweller on the field.
And now the Jackalope is going to try again, and he does resolve, so... The draw is going to be super important, because Armageddon Knight doesn't do too much when Dweller is there.
Exactly.
That's true, though. Okay.
So we can make...
It's okay, but it's not the greatest, because again, like, Yadzi is not able to resolve under Dweller, so... I think the best draw was probably just the Anger, when he could have drawn and just go for the ABC.
Yeah, he's setting himself to 4,000 here, which, if he doesn't have a way to clear the Kaiju, he's pretty stuck.
Exactly, and he doesn't play, like, Black Rose, I don't think.
He can go into Nightmare Cerberus. His opponent's activating Salamangreat Roar. He is going to target Destrudo. Destrudo goes to the bottom of the deck by its own ability. And now we have 1 Jackalope and a normal summon against this board here. Normal summoning A. A beats over Abyss Dweller.
Yeah, and Falco is going to be used.
Yeah. So that's the trap card. And this trap will be banished when it leaves the field, right?
Yep.
So, and this is always the trick with kaijus, right? If you can't clear your kaiju, you put yourself in a really bad position.
Yeah, exactly. And here you can see the rage.
And it's quite unfortunate. If Jonas hadn't seen the line and gone for the Abyss Dweller, I think
Yeah, it could have
game would have gone
got out of
completely
hand,
differently.
definitely, because Armageddon Knight then was live, destroyed as well, so...
Yeah. So
Now, yeah, we can see the recurrence basically as Salamangreat opens, he just recycles the Gazelle for next turn, so you're able to basically do the same thing again, and thanks to the Jaguar, you can put back extra deck monsters as well, so it's quite a difficult deck to deal with.
it's very consistent in what it does, right?
Yeah.
You're kind of, you have your game plan and you're just going to try and do that again and again until you wear your opponent down.
It is kind of the beauty of Yu-Gi-Oh! Because there are some decks that do all these amazing combos and on a lot of negations, and then there are decks like this, which is like 1 or 2 cards, you do the same thing every turn, nothing super spectacular, but it gets you there, so...
Yeah, yeah. So we're seeing a Link summon. We're going to see Belia Links most likely.
Yep.
There's the Belia Links. And then Gazelle can summon because the Falco was sent to the graveyard.
And then he's going to
And
be able to use, again,
We're going
the
to add
Jaguar.
back Sunlight Wolf, I believe. Yeah. And that's a really interesting thing because
Yep.
if you didn't have a way to add back to Sunlight Wolves from grave, then you would only be able to summon them once, right?
Exactly. And in a way, it's similar to how Daigusto Emerald was used in the past in like Zodiacs to recycle, and
Yeah. So we have 2 monsters on board for ABC here. Do you think he's going to survive past this turn, or do you think there's a
mean-
set Salamangreat?
the thing is that even if he does survive, then he has Roar and Rage again, so it's definitely not easy to.
Yeah.
And something important to mention is that Jonas is playing the Update Jammer, which is a Link monster that allows you to, if you use it as a material, then the next Link summon can attack twice. So it's actually a very easy way to deal a lot of damage. So
That gives a lot of pressure in this situation. As it is, it looks like he has plenty of damage
Yeah.
on board already.
because the Kaiju is 3300, so
Kaiju is the biggest Kaiju.
it's the biggest Kaiju you can get. So.
And is there a reason that the ABC deck is playing that Kaiju? Because it has machine synergy with the rest of the deck? Oh, you can summon it under Floodgates because it's light and machine. So
Yeah.
Gozen and Rivalry don't prevent you from summoning it. So presumably that's why he's playing it.
I guess.
Which makes sense because, again, a lot of the Salamangreat decks here
Yeah.
are going to be playing.
And maybe, just maybe, with Summoner Sorcerers, maybe you just put it in front of her and then you get a machine from the deck.
That's true.
And yeah, he does go for the Update Jammer. So now the Borrelot can attack twice, which is quite a big deal. And that's plenty enough of damage. And Jonas takes the first game in a convincing fashion.
Double attacking Borrelot Dragons.
Yeah.
That's pretty terrifying.
If not,
like,
if not a single attack was good enough, yeah. So looking at the side decks, what do you think Jonas is going to put in?
so, I mean, first off, we need to figure out, do we think that Fredier is going to go first or second? And by the looks of it, he has
Yeah.
an artifact package, so he's likely to be wanting to go first.
Sure.
So if Jonas is going second, I think Droll and Lockbird is suddenly a lot better against the Danger decks in this
Yeah.
format than it had been. Which is kind of funny, because if we remember back to YCS London, you Droll and Lockbirded the Danger decks back then.
Yeah.
And they were just like, oh, that's cool. I'm
Sure,
just
I'm
gonna,
gonna go.
reduce you to 0
Yeah.
anyway. So I'm thinking Droll and Lockbird, maybe Super Poly as well. I think Super Polymerization can do a lot here if he's expecting his opponent to end on any Link monsters.
Yeah. It's, yeah, and the thing is, you're not really sure what Wagner is going for. Because,
Right.
sure, you saw Danger, you saw, like, the A, so you know it's an ABC deck, but as you said, we have not seen something like this. So he can pretty much guess where he's going, but there's still 60 cards, so you don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
You saw the Strudo, you saw Kaijus in the main deck, so it has to be a little bit surprising for Jonas. While Wagner probably expected Salamangreat to be one of the most represented deck. And we can see, as you said, that he has like the artifact package, and he has a few traps as well in the side deck, like Skill Drain, which could be really good against the deck.
Yeah, and he also has his main deck Kaijus,
Yeah.
which are really good because, again, as we saw there, they let you turn off the counter trap card,
Yeah.
and the counter trap card is super impactful.
Good. And even honestly, the Rage is not as good, because if you don't have a Link Monster on field, then you need to discard something from hand or from field, so it's really annoying against that.
Yeah. So, I mean, from my point of view, I think that the ABC deck is just going to want to go first
Yeah,
here.
yeah,
He
yeah,
knows
for
his
sure.
opponent can end on Dweller, and we saw that Dweller was backbreaking
Yeah,
in that game. If
exactly.
Dweller were not a card in that game, I think it would have
completely
ended
different. Yeah,
very differently.
for sure.
The question is, do you think Jonas will bring in Dino Wrestler Pankratops here, or
It's possible, honestly. It's pretty generic, so
right?
it's not particularly good against decks that don't have many back rows. So it's gonna be his decision, but I don't think he's gonna side too much, because, as he said, he has like 9 Antrops plus the Fantastical Dragons, and that should be incredible against him. So he might just not even side that much. So let's see how it goes.
Okay, we're ready for game 2. So, who are you feeling has a good position here?
Depending if Jonas sees any kind of Antrops, then, because like Predaplant Scorpio is like one of the best cards in the game, but it's
Yes.
also so fragile, so that's the thing.
Double Destrudo in an opening is not something that I like seeing that much.
Definitely. Then,
Monster Reborn's a good card though.
yeah. Okay, so seems like, oh no, it does go second. Wow.
It makes Jonas go first.
Yeah.
That's quite bold when you know your opponent has Abyss Dweller.
Yeah, it's quite brave, because even if he has a lot of outs for like other cards, he doesn't really have any way to stop the Abyss Dweller, so
Do we think we'll see the Winged Dragon of Raw Sphere Mode brought in?
it's possible, honestly. I don't mind it, because, as you said, it gets really annoying when they get rid of all your Salamangreat links.
Yes.
So it's not as good against like combo decks, but it's okay, honestly, because they usually end on like the 3 monsters with the Stalio and the Jaguar. So
At this point, you're the Salamangreat player. Do you think your opponent has any interaction in hand? Do you think they like potentially could have a Veiler that they're saving for something, or do you think you're pretty free to just play your game? At this
yeah,
point?
I think I would be fine, because like usually in 60 card decks, you don't focus a lot on Antrops. You focus more on like blowout cards, and
Sure. More high impact
Yeah.
interaction.
I wouldn't really mind on ending on the same field, because like in game 1, Jonas only ended on 2 monsters.
Yes.
So Sphere Mode was not a possibility. And since it went so well, I would just focus on going for Dweller, honestly.
Yeah, Dweller Sunlight Wolf seems like a really nice
Yeah.
play to end on. So, where do you land on the Lady Debug debate? Because I've seen a lot of people
Yeah.
saying it's the best card or it's the worst card. What's your thoughts on it?
It's like, it's not easy, honestly. Like, the thing is, it depends on the decks that you expect. I really like the Buffalo as well, which is the alternative that
Yes.
lets you do true cards. So it's not an easy answer, honestly. I don't mind the card. I think Debug is quite consistent, and as I said, it just depends on the decks that you expect. Because if you think you're gonna face a lot of mirror matches, then it can get relevant. But it really depends on the attached cards, I think, more than the engine. Because if you wanna look for a lot of Antrops or like Sanctums, then the Buffalo might make more sense.
Okay, so we see a board with 3
Yeah.
monsters.
And
Hopefully Jonas doesn't get punished.
that's exactly.
His opponent's going to draw at least 2 cards this turn, ideally. Assuming Chupacabra doesn't hit itself.
It does get the Kaiju, but it's
Less relevant.
less effective, because Jonas did play around it by getting another Balings. So
Yeah.
it seems like this end entirely relies on the danger. So
So we're
let's
clearing
see.
the Sunlight Wolf. I think that's what I'd do there.
Yeah, at least the rage is less effective.
Yeah.
And now the Chupacabra is gonna be important.
If he hits the Chupacabra here, it's pretty huge.
Yeah.
He hits Destrudo. That's really good.
That's the best case scenario. I mean, honestly, there were 2 Destrudos and 3 Clowns, so it was a win-win scenario if it was not eating Chupa.
Exactly. But we're
And-
getting the card draw here, which is quite nice.
Okay,
We drew
another
a
danger.
Tsuchinoko.
Now, okay, this is working
This is
incredibly.
crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is going really well for him.
And this is what the danger deck wants to be doing, right?
Exactly.
Just summon a bunch of monsters.
Yeah, summon a bunch of monsters, hopefully discard some usable cards in the graveyard, and this seems like as Wagner plan when building his deck. He has a Monster Reborn set we know about, so...
he draws Brilliant
Oh,
Fusion.
he draws the one Brilliant Fusion. Wow.
This is getting very interesting.
Yeah, this is getting out of hand. Because now, as we know, Roar is there, but the Rage can only be used as a 1 disruption, so by either tributing the Bailings.
Exactly.
And it's not as effective, so...
What are you thinking of interacting here if you are the Salamangreat player?
I don't think it is your decision, honestly. I think it is more of a...
Once you see a threat, you just have to
I mean, it's
answer.
more of a decision from Wagner. Like, he is the one in charge right now. He's the one that has to think what he wants to deal with.
Yeah. Because he knows what his opponent has said, so he knows there's 2 interactions.
Yeah. But I like the Rage here, because if Yahtzee comes down, then you're not able to Rage it anymore, and it's get
Yes.
out of hand real quick.
Yahtzee
So,
is like format all-star at the moment.
yeah.
Card is really strong.
But now the Brilliant Fusion is going to make Jonas smile, and he does.
Mm-hmm.
Because it is limited, so...
It's a lovely ultimate Brilliant
It is.
Fusion. Very nice. Do you think you let this resolve?
I mean...
I
mean-
generally would be of the opinion,
I
don't
don't
let it happen.
I mean, it depends on what you think he's gonna send, because Trickclown is there, and we know Fairy Tale Snow is no more a card.
That's true.
He's been banned, so
We see the Brilliant Fusion resolving.
yeah, I think I agree with this decision, because like, what can he send? Yeah, a letter. So that's definitely correct, and. Something worth mentioning is that Wagner only has 1 card left, and he didn't use his regular normal yet, so it's not like the second normal is quite relevant.
Exactly.
So
It-
you can definitely wait.
And it's kind of interesting because we saw the Brilliant Engine hit in 2 ways, as you pointed out there.
Yeah.
So both Fairy Tale Snow is no longer playable,
Yeah,
and then also Brilliant Fusion itself is now at 1. And so that makes a big difference to the consistency of that engine, right?
okay, easy going for
It's
Saruya,
going for Saryuja, it looks like.
but
yeah.
then ignoring the Roar, because you have.
This could be an oversight. This could be
That's
very
so
unfortunate.
surprising. You can just use the Roar, right? It doesn't have to be a link that used itself. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, and we see Aurora coming down on the Saryuja. We do still have
Wow.
Monster Reborn, but losing out on the Saryuja draw is massive here.
That's definitely surprising, because like you could have gone about this in 1,000 different ways with like Nightmare Phoenix or anything like that if you wanted to force that, and now he's left without any card. Wow, that was surprising from Wagner. And we're back to Jonas.
So players might not be familiar with Roar.
Yeah.
It's one of the cards from the new structure deck, and it really is one of the key cards in the Salamangreat deck,
Definitely.
right? Like, if I think Salamangreat, I'm thinking Sunlight Wolf, I'm thinking Gazelle, and I'm thinking Roar.
Yeah, mostly Roar, because I mean you don't really care much about what they're doing. You just care with the interruptions that they have, and Roar is usually what you have to deal with, and it's pretty good to do. Like it can against essentially anything. So
This is really unfortunate.
Yeah.
It seems like Jizukiru is just ending the
yeah,
game again and again.
Indeed.
So Jonas is playing true. He doesn't know that his opponent's only set is a monster
He's a
reborn.
monster reborn, yeah.
So
As soon as he's realized that he's gonna surely find his way, and now he can send Foxy, because thanks to Brilliant Fusion and of course Sanctuary already, he can also use the second effect if he wants and summon it back.
the second effect of Foxy is really strong in this format.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of cards that remain face up in the spell and trap card zone.
Definitely. And there is also a really cool thing to say about it, that it activates and can resolve in the graveyard, and it's all part of one effect, so it can be negated by like impermanence, Veiler, or anything like that. So once it gets on the field, you're done for.
Yeah, it's really scary. Having been playing Striker recently,
Yeah.
you see the Foxy engrave and you're just like, oh,
Yeah,
I
you
hope my
panic.
opponent doesn't realize this, this activates.
Yeah. And now, yeah,
Jonas is just, yeah, he's
as-
doing his thing, right?
Yeah.
So this is quite an interesting match for the first feature of the day. We see
Definitely.
Dangers, which is like one of the archetypes that is most impactful in the format.
Yeah.
Then we see the new up-and-comer Salamangreats.
Basically, I feel like the Danger deck is the big question mark for the event, because like everything else is kind of figured out, but we saw in the past months how good Dangers are, and we just need to find a different deck for it. So now that there are a lot of changes with the new Forbidden Unlimited list, so
And we see
It's
Heatleo
Leo come down, and
he shuffles away the set
Yeah.
monster reborn. Wagner has no cards left.
yeah, it seems like
Do we see a Gores?
a handshake. Nice. So Jonas takes the match 2-0. So
No. Very nice start.
let's just go to the post-match discussion to see.
And we're back. So,
Wow.
I mean, that was our first match of the day.
Yeah.
It was really interesting. We really got to see what Salamangreat deck is doing. I'm thinking this deck is looking really good for the event now. Like, what is your feelings about it?
Definitely. If I was convinced before, even more now. As I said, Jonas definitely knows what he's doing if he brought this deck, and even a standard deck list, honestly. There is nothing going too strange about his deck. I feel like he could take down the event. Like, maybe not Jonas particularly, but anyone else playing it. It's a consistent deck. He has a lot of space for like Thatches and Traps. I saw some players using like Artifact Sanctums even in the main deck. So
Exactly.
I'm definitely excited to see more about it. But, well, in game one, we just saw the usual opening.
Yeah. Well, he
And-
ended with the Dweller
yeah,
as well, which
that-
against 60 cards seemed very reasonable.
I think that shows you like the difference between like a casual player, let's see, and one like Jonas who goes and travels to every YCS. He saw 60 card, he immediately thought, what can this be, even if he didn't prepare against it, and he went for the Abyss Dweller. So that shows you how good he was, and Wagner just simply couldn't out it.
Yeah.
In game two, what?
And game two, I
Yeah.
mean, we saw the unfortunate play of the Saryuja before checking the back row.
Definitely.
And
Do you think it could have been different if Wagner actually chose to go first?
I think so. Like, his hand seemed quite decent. He would have been able to build a board. The only reason I could see for going second there would be fear of cards like evenly matched.
Yeah.
Because I do know that there are Salamangreat decks playing evenly. I think evenly a lot of players are still very 50-50 on in this format.
I
And
agree.
we'll see how people fall on it as the day
Yeah,
progresses.
I'm not
right?
particularly a fan of it, but I guess you might also expect just the Salamangreat deck to main like 9 to 12 Antraps even after siding. So that could have been also part of his decision, but I don't know. I had fun. We started with a blast, so hopefully
Exactly.
we'll have a lot more to show you guys. And yeah.
We'll see you guys for round two.
We good? Danke. Thank you very much, guys. Next time, just let me know when we're running. All right, here we have Jonas Koschel. Congratulations.
Yeah, I won.
Still in shock, basically. Still in shock. That was the best way to start your day, I guess. So, run us through it again. You started the first game, and I heard from Marcello, I was basically in the back organizing stuff for our super event this weekend, and he said you had one of the best openings ever.
It was like what my deck can do was one of the best openings. Yeah.
So,
Especially against his deck, because
how did you feel about his choice?
I saw 60 cards and I'm like, whoa, that's gonna be a weird deck. So yeah.
All right. So you win the first game. You didn't really see that much from his deck, if I'm not mistaken. So what do you do approaching the side deck?
To be fair, he's pretty famous for playing ABC almost every time. So yeah, that's why I thought he might be playing ABC. And I saw danger cards, so yeah. And I saw the A and another A, I believe.
Right.
Yeah.
So you had an idea. And what are you siding then?
I wasn't sure, but I just sided, so in case he lets me go first, my deck still works the same, and yeah. So I didn't side that many cards. Yeah.
All right. Were you surprised when he decided to let you go first for the second duel?
Not really, because I think the ABC deck is like better at going second, so yeah.
All right. And obviously, I guess you were happy with your second opening hand as well. So
it was even better. Like almost, yeah, it was better, but.
So, perfect start into the day. You said going into this you were a little bit nervous that the feature match could be one of the hardest matches today. How are you feeling right now?
Yeah, the first feature match is so weird because when it's like the first duel I'm playing with the exact deck, and maybe I'm doing something wrong at that point, but it worked out, so I guess.
But now you basically know that we won't feature you again until you're making the top cut, because most of the time we try to have as many different players as possible, and we got a couple to choose from this weekend. So chances are good you basically have like smooth sailing for the rest of the weekend. So what's your goal for the weekend? Where have you your sights set?
I like to get to the top cut. That's like the main goal, and after that everything's fine.
All right. Well, thank you very, very much. Best of luck for the rest of the day, for this entire weekend. Try to keep a calm head with that new situation that we got. Guys, we are roughly 20 minutes in overtime for the main event. Obviously, our feature match didn't take all that much time, so that's actually good, because now we're not going to be responsible for holding the event. With so many players in attendance spread over 2 different halls, there's a very good chance that in between rounds, we're going to have a little bit more time today. We recorded a couple of great segments yesterday, so you're going to see some of them right now. And then after that little break, we're going to be right back with our round 2 feature match of YCS Düsseldorf #1. The other one in another hotel, and we're going to talk about that more and covering it later on with our written coverage as well. So you're going to have some updates from both this event as well as the other event. It's going to be a super exciting weekend. I hope you guys are going to be here all weekend long, and we're going to show you all the live action from these 2 YCS Düsseldorfs. See you very, very soon.